Rachel?
To be honest, I didn't really want to do a critique of this game. I love it, that's why I made the first video, and I wanted to keep just making videos about pointless details, and then we could all just assume some sort of mutual adoration for the game as a whole, and then nitpick for the fun of it. But with this last episode, that's not quite the happy fantasy land we get to live in anymore. I don't think I can, in good conscience, talk about, let's say, the rewind mechanic, or make up convoluted theories as to why Rachel will definitely not be with Frank or get killed, and actually her and Chloe will just live happily ever after, because this is some sort of alternate reality, and I can definitely back this up, and I'm definitely not just saying this because it breaks my heart that her and Frank get together. That said, I will continue to talk about these games because I have a few more topics I want to get off my chest, but first let's do a critique of Before the Storm Episode 3. It was okay. But honestly, that's just not okay. The first 2 episodes were not okay, they were amazing. Before launch, the entire Life is Strange community were either saying this is pointless, they're both dead, I don't want to know anything more about them, or Rachel Amber can never be a real character, she was too perfect, they'll never be able to convey why she was so universally loved. And both of those are perfectly good arguments for why this game should not exist. But now that it does, I would say the majority of people who've played Before the Storm no longer think any of those things. And that's because, very impressively, the game makes you forget about all those perfectly logical arguments by A, being fucking good, and B, not constantly reminding you of the end we know one or both of them meet eventually. Before the Storm establishes early on that it's not just some glorified backdrop for the original Life is Strange to play out on top of. It's not just there to punch you in the face with a fist of feels by squeezing all tragedy out of Rachel's character. It's a full story with a full relationship, it can stand on its own, and if it's played by someone who only expects some added backstory to the first game, it punches them in the face and then covers it up with some makeup. So what does the last episode do wrong? Honestly, it's not that much if you ask me. There are some obvious things, like the setup for Rachel being magic in the first episode. Where did that go? And then the talk with Sarah by the end, which distinctly feels like a dream sequence in which she's dead and that's why she can't go and see Rachel. But then it just turns out that it isn't, and she's not. How did Frank, who already lost one fight with Damon, win this fight and then leave the room despite barely being able to walk into the room in the first place? There's clearly just something missing there. I don't think it's because of poor writing, a scene was not finished. Did they run out of money? Time? I don't know, but if they did, how in the world did the D&D sequence make it to the game? For the D&D session in episode 1, writer Zach Garris said specifically in that Eurogamer playthrough that I mentioned last time, that they struggled to finish it in time because the main plot took priority for what I think should be obvious reasons. Is that no longer true? Why not? I realized that scene was hugely popular in the first episode, but it's still true that the main path for the game needs to be finished first. I would have thought it was obvious that the D&D session in episode 1 was such a huge success because it showed confidence in the product. They added this whole half-hour scene just because they sort of thought it would be cool. That's awesome. Playing the actual campaign in the game, while fun, was not what made the scene cool really. What made it awesome was the fact that it was in the game in the first place. This one in episode 3 clearly got in the way of development of more important scenes. And it's the second time now, it's not really equally cool on repeat. You can't just keep doing it. But frankly, while those things are blatantly done wrong, they don't really matter that much to me, aside from the principle of it. To my mind, the last episode did 2 quite minor things really wrong. The first one is the girls' relationship. In the first 2 episodes, there's clearly some sort of relationship point system. You say the right things to Rachel, you get a point. The more points you have, the closer the girls are. That way, even the loveless psychopaths who don't ship the Amber Prize can still play the game and be happy. Cool, good for them. The point is, if you want them to be, these girls are in a relationship. It's not ambiguous like it was in the original game. In episode 1, you get to say you want to be more than friends. In episode 2, you get the kiss. But in this latest episode, there's nothing. Sure, there's conversation still, but the relationship doesn't really develop any from the beginning to the end. I'm assuming the point system still has some sort of effect on the girls' interactions, but nothing in episode 3 hints that they're anything more than friends, even if you've made all the ship choices. Some part of the community may now be thinking, you're overreacting a little bit. Is it not enough that the girls got together, and now they are together for the finale? And no, I don't think it is enough really, because let's be honest, is anyone really playing these games for other reasons than the characters and relationships? Because I have some news for you. Better mystery stories have been written. Go read a book. And in episode 1 and 2, it seems like everyone understood this, because the only plot development that happened in 1 was the kiss between Rachel's dad and the woman, and in episode 2 it was the fact that the woman was Rachel's mom, and the rest of those episodes were character and relationship focused. In episode 3, on the other hand, Chloe has 2 or 3 conversations with Rachel and 1 with Joyce and David, and the rest of the episode is spent resolving the story. And I realize it has to be resolved, but still, it could have been paced a lot better. Or it could have been not there at all for all I care. Or in fact, and here's an easy fix, have the same story except Rachel doesn't get stabbed and is then with you going through these things. It is about her family after all. What's the benefit of having her in a bed for half the episode? It's dramatic for a second, but we all know she's gonna be fine, so it must be there just to get her out of the way. But if anyone can think of a good reason for getting her out of the way, please tell me, cause I cannot figure it out. That was the first issue. The second issue is the post-credit scene. Why? Why would you do that? Let me return to my earlier point. One of the major reasons people didn't see the point of this game was that ending that we all knew this game was leading to, but it was heart-wrenching the first time we saw it in the main game, and getting to know the character better, that just makes it worse. But this game was handling it beautifully by not bringing it up, thus making us sort of forget about it. That was one of the best things about it. You made people who were really anxious about liking Rachel because of the inevitable gut punch like her anyway. Well done. Now please, don't punch us in the gut. You managed to spend a whole game subverting that expectation only to then live up to it after the credits. It's so cruel. Why? You don't need sequel bait in a prequel. We already played the next game. Leave us alone. I just wanted to get this out of the way. I'm gonna do videos about the next season as well. This hasn't really made me like the games any less. I was perfectly happy with episodes 1 and 2, and I didn't actually really need anything more than those. So this, while a little bit disappointing, it had a bunch of nice scenes as well. It's not deal breaking for me. I don't know how many people are interested in Life is Strange content when there's probably quite a wait before the next game, but if not, I'll just vent into the YouTube void, why not? The next video will likely focus on how much better this game is than the original Life is Strange, because as I said, I want to do positive stuff. I hope you sweet humans enjoyed the episode and the video, at least that we can all forgive it and move on. Have a nice life.